Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning and warm welcome to the function. May I request our director, Professor Sanjay Bihari sir, to lead the Honorable Minister, Shri Dr. Jitendra Singh, Honorable Minister of State, Independent Charge of the Ministry of Science and Technology and Earth Sciences, Government of India, to the stage. I also request Professor Ajit Kumar VK, the Dean and former Director, SCTIMST, and Professor Keshav Das, Deputy Director, SCTIMST, to kindly join the dignitaries on the dais.
It is an honor and privilege to invite Padma Bhushan Dr. V.K. Saraswat, Member Nidhi Ayog, and Honorable President of our institute, who has guided us at every step for the past 3 years. We are fortunate to have him online for the event and address the gathering. We are also glad to invite Dr. Shashi Tharoor, Honorable Member of Parliament, Thiruvananthapuram constituency, and member of our institute body, who has kindly taken time off his busy schedule to address the institution. To begin, may I request Mr. Srinath to invoke the Almighty.
योगीन्द्राणां त्वतङ्केष्वधिकसुमधुरं मुक्तिभाजां निवासो भक्तानां कामवर्षद्युतरुकिसलयं नाथाते पादमूलम् नित्यं चित्तस्थितं मे पवनपुरपते कृष्णा कारुण्यसिन्धो कृष्णा कारुण्यसिन्धो हृत्वां निशेषतापान प्रतिशतु परमानन्दसन्तोह लक्ष्मी प्रतिशतु परमानन्द सन्तोह लक्ष्मी.
May I now request our Honorable Director, Professor Sanjay Bihari, to welcome the gathering.
Good morning. I welcome you to Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute for Medical Sciences and Technology. It is my honor and privilege to welcome Honorable Union Minister of State for Science and Technology and Earth Sciences, Atomic Energy, Space, Public Grievances and Pension, and Prime Minister's Office, Government of India, Dr. Jitendra Singh. His benevolence and vision for our institute and the constant support and help that he provides to it as the head of our parent department, the Department of Science and Technology, is responsible for the institute's sustenance and widespread eminence. I'm grateful to him for sparing his valuable time for us. Honorable Minister of State for External Affairs and Parliamentary Affairs, Sri Muralidharanji, has always been a source of support for our institute. His presence at every institute function has been vital. Unfortunately, due to a pressing engagement, he had to urgently rush to Delhi. The institute is grateful to him for all his support over the years. Padma Bhushan and Padma Shri Dr. V.K. Saraswat is a distinguished scientist and the Honorable President of the Institute. He's a member of the Niti Aayog and Chancellor of Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. He has been the Chief Scientific Advisor to the Indian Ministry of Defense and the Director General of Defense Research and Development Organization. He is credited with the indigenous development of missiles, the two-tiered ballistic missile defense system, the light combat aircraft, and the nuclear submarine. His vast experience in both basic and applied research, as well as the dedication and grace that he represents is once again brings true Gandhiji's famous saying, "My life is my message." SCTIMST is extremely fortunate to have you, sir, as its president. Thank you, sir, for being a constant source of inspiration for all of us. Sir has joined online. A huge round of applause for his esteemed presence amongst us. Honorable Member of the Parliament, Thiruvananthapuram, Dr. Shashi Tharoor, is an author and a statesman. His monthly column, India Reawakening, distributed by Project Syndicate, appears in 80 newspapers around the world. Dr. Tharoor has written 23 books at the last count in English and is a Sahitya Academy awardee. He has inspired countless Indians as Under Secretary of United Nations and uh, and then as 3 times Member of Parliament. His absolute adherence to his uncompromising principles and his erudite presence on the political firmament of India is a testimony to the fact that life is strange. Ever so often, a good man wins. Dr. Tharoor is a very active member of our institute body. Please to continue to guide us, sir. Whatever stride one makes is on the shoulder of giants. I am grateful to our founding director, Professor M.S. Veliathan, and all other former directors and heads of Biomedical Technology Wing and honorary members of the governing and institute bodies, all of whom have immensely contributed to the development of this new combination devices block. I'm also grateful to the Honorable Royal Family for always supporting us in our endeavors. I am grateful to directors, vice chancellors, principals of national and state universities, senior members of government administrative services, Shri Rajesh Kumar Kaushal, Special Director General, CPWD Chennai, and Chief Engineer Ujjwal Kumarji, who are present with us today. Officer on Special Duty, Government of India, Shri Prashant Jhaji and Shri Venkateshan, and the senior representative from the Autonomous Institute Division, Department on Science and Technology, Dr. Raj Kumar Joshi. A warm welcome is extended to attendees of the conference on defining ethics and animal welfare in preclinical research that is also ongoing in SCTIMST. I am grateful to my own colleagues, esteemed faculty, technical, nursing, and supporting and security staff, the construction team, students, and scholars for their constant support. I'm also grateful to the esteemed members of the press for gracing the occasion. Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute for Medical Sciences and Technology, Thiruvananthapuram, has long adorned a distinct spot in the Department of Science and Technology family by its seamless amalgamation of high quality clinical care, innovative medical technology, biomedical technology, and focused public health research. The hospital wing of the institute was built on the vision of the state of the art clinical service in cardiac and neurosciences and allied sciences. The past 4 decades have seen this vision come to fruition. The hospital wing has spearheaded the delivery of cutting edge therapies in various subspecialties, established comprehensive care services, pioneered clinical and basic research, and has provided innovative training to talented professionals across the nation. The other component portions are the biomedical technology wing, which perhaps has the highest biomedical product translation rate in the country among institutes, and the public health wing, which has taken great strides in disseminating important message of prevention of medical diseases, especially the non-communicable ones, and in developing the methodology of large volume health data collection that guides the governmental policies across the country. All the three wings are offering stellar services to the state and the nation. Being one of the only centers that has focused on high risk in vivo electronic devices with NABH and COFRAC international accreditation of our center and teaching facilities, testing facilities with an per annum medical device translation rate of nearly 30%, an average of per year of 16 patents, with nearly 80 crores of extra mural funding, with nearly 300 to 500 publications per annum, with a mean impact factor of between 3.5 and 4, and with the conduction of several innovative master's, doctoral, and postdoctoral courses, our institute stands at the forefront of interdisciplinary scientific research, education, and product development in the country. And a common umbrella uniting the clinical, public health, and biomedical wing forms the core of this institute's success. This has resulted in a high NIRF ranking of 9th of this institute in the list of medical institutions of India. And this is no mean feat, considering the much smaller size of this institute compared to other institutes of national importance and its focused attention on cardiac and neurosciences. In this is also added the development of the combination devices block that will permit the coming together of different categories of technologies to achieve the common goal of translation of biomedical products for the country. This building, housed in the biomedical technology wing, will certainly enhance the cooperation between diverse biomedical technologies, biomedical technology and medicine, technology and industry, and medical technology and education. This will go a long way in enhancing the service and education centric focus of the state of Kerala and disseminate the idea across the country. Once operational, the combination devices block will house laboratories and facilities for the development of in vitro diagnostics, point of care devices, biosensors, tissue engineered products, devices incorporating artificial intelligence and virtual reality, orthotics and rehabilitation, micro electromechanical systems, and micro robotic based devices, which take advantage of the digital age also for the benefit of healthcare of the industry. The need of the hour is to now in the country is to develop original ideas that will be accepted by medical community and industry and benefit our patients. I urge the faculty and staff and students of the institute to not only focus on their subject, but to go beyond its realms and cooperate with brilliant people in diverse fields to develop and translate medical products. The resurgence of self confidence in India's own capability is largely due to the emergence of the idea that with cooperation and teamwork, we can be better than the best in the world. This self reliance on development of biomedical technology products will conserve our own valuable sources, as our own innovative products will be available to our own people at less than half the cost of the products imported till now. The resources conserved as a result of this effort will help the needy in our country and enhance the stature of our country. I congratulate the president of the institute and the honorable minister and the past and erstwhile secretary department of science and technology and members of the engineering and construction wing, as well as the CPWD, for their valuable contributions to the development of this facility. It is said that if you dream earnestly, sincerely, and hard enough, and simultaneously unconditionally, and start working towards it, universe conspires to gift you your dreams. But here are my 5 dreams for the combination devices block. The first of them is to amalgamate entirely diverse sets of technologies together to assure the development of in vivo and in vitro products that impact the medical device industry. To develop a diverse group of highly skilled individuals that disseminate the knowledge learned at the center to all parts of India. To ensure that the biomedical technology products developed uphold the highest standards of international scrutiny and expectations. To focus on the actual needs of patients at the ground level to benefit them and to alleviate their illness and pain. And finally, to make India not only self reliant, but also a harbinger and citadel of medical technology and care that is emulated across the world. I conclude by unhesitatingly stating that the best is yet to arrive for our institute because it is founded on the sacrosanct principle that service to society is the highest goal of human life. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, sir.
Now we request Dr. V.K. Saraswat, member of Nidhi Ayog and Honorable President of SCTIMST, to deliver the presidential address.
Namaskar, good morning, Honorable Minister for Science and Technology, Earth Sciences, Dr. Jitendra Singh Ji, Honorable Member of Parliament, Dr. Shashi Tharoor Ji, all the dignitaries on the dais, the doctors, the practitioners, the members of the media, and all the distinguished guests who are present to celebrate this occasion of dedicating this wonderful facility of combination devices for the service of the humanity. Over 40 years ago, certain policies and goals were made under the leadership of some remarkable men in the government and this institute. This led to a medical center in Trivandrum attaining the multiple titles of a deemed university, an institute of national importance, as well as one of the best tertiary care facility in cardiac and neurosciences in the country, as well as public health. With this unique blending of healthcare delivery, specialty training, and precisely guided medical devices development, the institute, heavily supported by the Department of Science and Technology, now has the highest patent to product ratio among all the technology institutes in India. The impact of this transformation has been profound and largely salutary in these areas. The story of Sri Chitra Trinal Institute of Medical Sciences and Technology, Trivandrum, is a notable one and is worth mentioning. As is the case with many famous personalities, Professor M.S. Valyathan was a man at the right place at the right time. Just as Kerala was searching for a pioneering doctor who could spark the research attitude among clinicians and help build a specialty center, he was right there with the right kind of experience, expertise, and enthusiasm to take up the challenging task. Described as a soft-spoken physician of high ethical principles and deep convictions, Dr. Valyathan's rise to the pinnacle of medical technology development in India was due mainly to his strong desire to practice what he learned. More than knowledge, the infinite wisdom played a central part in doing what he did, physical, mental, moral, or scholastic. The model hospital, amalgamated with centers for creation of new knowledge that he proposed and nurtured, is now giving back to society what the latter needs in terms of patient care, medical education and training, development of niche biomedical technology products, and the dissemination of knowledge on public health. There are many great hospitals in the country, many biomedical research institutes of it, and scores of centers committed to the promotion of public health. However, what makes Sri Chitra unique is that it synergizes clinical medicine, biomedical technology, and health sciences into a homogeneous concoction, providing training and research opportunities in these fields through interdisciplinary collaborations. The institute focuses on patient care of high quality, technology development of individual industrial significance, and health research of social relevance. The emphasis is unmistakably on the development of expertise and facilities less readily available in the country. The development and transfer to industry of a large number of medical devices and biomedical products bears testimony to the fact that the institute has never wavered for a moment from its primary passion, which is to be a unique organization that blends the practice of modern medicine with technology development within a single institutional framework. No doubt, Sri Chitra presents an inspiring model for other institutes to follow. It is indeed heartening to see a number of collaborations between medicine, science, and technology sprouting in the premier institutes of the country. Sri Chitra paved the way long back futuristically for the successful Make in India concept. Hospital services at the institute match the institute's performance in the realm of technology development. The focus is on the treatment of complex heart diseases, interventional cardiology, pediatric congenital cardiac problems, cardiac electrophysiology, comprehensive heart care, cardiac and thoracic surgery, treatment of brain tumors, epilepsy, movement disorders, developmental brain disorders, neuromuscular disorders, sleep disorders, stroke and pediatric neurology. The development of subspecialties in cardiac, neuro, and interventional radiological sciences continue to take place to provide cure for most of the disorders affecting these body systems. The past few years have witnessed the launch of major activities at the hospital wing of the institute. With substantial support from the Government of India through the Pradhan Mantri Swasthya Suraksha Yojana and the Department of Science and Technology, a long cherished desire and dream of the faculty and staff of Sri Chitra and the people of the region is going to be soon fulfilled in the form of Pradhan Mantri Swasthya Suraksha Block, an extension of the hospital wing. The impact of this invaluable addition on high quality super specialty care and the postgraduate training in cardiac and neurosciences assiduously provided by the institute is hard to overstate. Further, the combination devices block, an innovative center for next generation research and development at the biomedical technology wing, is being inaugurated today, is expected to provide just to the biomedical device development program at the institute. The recent launch of the Regional Technical Resource Center for Health Technology Assessment at the Achyutamanan Center for Health Sciences Studies is a tacit recognition of the first-rate work carried out at this center. In the takeoff of these ventures, we witness a commendable continuity of purpose that is built into the very fabric of this institution, a commitment to the core values that were spelled at the moment of its conception. The mark of a healthy organization is that it seamlessly builds the foundation for the future as it transits through the aspiring, in the words of Walt Disney, to quote, keep moving forward, opening new doors and doing new things, unquote. The institute has, during the recently held technology conclave, charted out the medical devices transition and vision towards 2047 plan. Its futuristic goal aims at developing several biomedical devices, disposables, bioprinted materials at affordable costs, and to transfer these innovative medical technologies to industry pan-India and even abroad. Life without challenge has no much meaning. We all can recall how challenging the last 2 years have been in all realms of life. We can be proud that as a nation, how fearlessly we face the situation and have overcome difficult times. Our response to these challenges may, in large measures, determine the future of medical science and biomedical research in this institution. As president of SCTIMST, I would like to wish the development of new combinational device block at the technology wing of SCTIMST all the very best. May it fulfill all the goals that it is aimed at and helps India in its long-term goal of Atmanirbhar Bharat. My very best wishes and support for the endeavor to the fraternity of SCTIMST. Thank you, Namaskar.
Thank you very much, sir, for your kind words. We now request Dr. Shashi Tharoor, Honorable Member of Parliament, Thiruvananthapuram Constituency, to address the gathering.
Thank you all very much. Dr. Jitendra Singh, Honorable Minister, my good friend, Dr. V.K. Saraswat, President, Professor Dr. Sanjay Bihari, other distinguished faculty and attendees, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for inviting me to address this inauguration of the Combination Devices Block of the Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute for Medical Sciences and Technology. I'm proud to be amongst you, although virtually, as the Member of Parliament representing Thiruvananthapuram, the capital of our state of Kerala, and as a member of the Institute body elected by my colleagues in the Lok Sabha to represent them amongst you. What we know as God's own country is also becoming the scientists' own homeland. I'm personally committed to doing all I can to encourage our Thiruvananthapuram to become a locus for scientific research. And this is exemplified by the Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute's many accomplishments. Uttering the name of this institution serves to remind us that the institute is named after His Highness Sri Chitra Tirunal Maharaja of Travancore, last king of Travancore, whom many consider as the power and inspiration behind the development of Thiruvananthapuram in all fields, especially in the field of education. The contribution of the royal family of Travancore towards the development of the city, as well as the state of Kerala, is immeasurable. As a social reformer, Sri Chitra Tirunal Maharaja's contribution is remarkable. To take just one example, the promulgation of the Temple Entry Proclamation in 1936 was an extraordinary act of social emancipation in our country. And I believe that the Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute was a gift by the royal family of Travancore to commemorate the 60th birthday of His Highness. It really is strongly associated with this remarkable individual. Now, in creating and bestowing this institute that bears his name, Sri Chitra Tirunal acted in a tradition that all Indians can lay claim to as a fundamental part of our heritage. This has been on in more recent times by our first Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, whose birthday we celebrated yesterday. While working on a short biography of Pandit Nehru, Nehru, the Invention of India, I became conscious of the extent to which we have taken for granted one vital legacy of his, the creation of an infrastructure for excellence in science and technology, which has become a source of great self-confidence and competitive advantage for the country today. Nehru was always fascinated by science and scientists. He made it a point to attend the annual Indian Science Congress every year, and he gave free rein and taxpayers' money to scientists in whom he had the confidence to build high-quality institutions. Men like Homi Bhabha and Vikram Sarabhai, both whom we know in Thiruvananthapuram, constructed the platform for Indian accomplishments in the fields of atomic energy and space research. They and their successors have given the country a scientific establishment without peer in the developing world. So much for the rich heritage of this institution, but today it is time to celebrate the future. Under the leadership of a dynamic new director, Dr. Sanjay Bihari, with whom I had the pleasure of several highly constructive interactions, the Institute is heading for new heights. Established as an institution of national importance by an Act of Parliament in 1980, the mandate of the Institute is to promote research and development in biomedical engineering and technology, deliver high-quality patient care in select specialties and subspecialties, and develop innovative postgraduate training programs in advanced medical specialties and biomedical engineering and technology. Within this remit, medical device development, research, and teaching have been an important undertaking for Sri Chitra. The Biomedical Technology Wing is committed to medical device development, research, and teaching. And of course, its primary objective is to promote biomedical engineering and technology through research and development activities related to medical devices, biomaterials, biocompatibility, tissue engineering, and product incubation and commercialization. That commercialization is something that's quite unusual in this business. The sustained focus of Sri Chitra on medical devices has in time led to the development of several medical devices and the transfer of technology to industry. Medical devices developed indigenously at Sri Chitra, dating back to the 1980s, have substantially reduced the cost of many life-saving devices and are admirably in line with the policy of Make in India of the central government, which would make my dear friend Jitendra Singh very happy. India's first mechanical heart valve, developed by Sri Chitra, has now crossed 150,000 implantations. The Sri Chitra blood bag holds a major market share in this segment. The product has been exported to about 70 countries. The Institute is credited with more than 70 technology transfers to industrial partners, including the membrane oxygenator, cardiotomy reservoir, concentric needle electrode, hydrocephalus shunt system, drug-eluting intrauterine devices, dental composites, hydroxyapatite and bioactive ceramic composites, all of which have well-qualified manufacturing partners so the commercialization and marketing are taken care of. Some of the recently transferred technologies include the TB screening device, PTI and R monitoring device, UTI diagnostic kit, the vein viewer, the left ventricular assist device, all of these, an injectable hydrogel for cartilage repair and lint-free wound dressing, all of these are remarkable. And we have lots to be proud of in the devices coming out of Sri Chitra. The Institute has about 106 granted Indian patents, 18 granted foreign patents, and about 172 Indian patents and 15 foreign patents filed. Moreover, it has about 38 design registrations. If I have one complaint to bring to the attention of my good friend Dr. Jitendra Singh, it is simply that the patent process takes too long. And I urge the minister to shake up the patent office in our country. In many cases, we find that Indians are inventing things they would prefer to patent outside because our patent office takes too long to grant Indian patents. And I urge the minister to take this matter in hand. Coming back to Sri Chitra, the trained manpower, sophisticated facilities, structured systems, and testing protocols we have for the development and testing of medical devices and biomaterials are a matter of pride. The multidisciplinary expertise available at the Institute in clinical, engineering, biomaterial, biological, even veterinary and public health sciences constitutes the bedrock for product development, device development, biomedical products altogether. And this, the inputs relating to unmet clinical needs comes from the hospital, from the clinicians. And then that helps the technology to develop that is functionally on par with imported technologies, but is much more cost effective than imported technologies. We evaluate these technologies based on international standards and regulatory guidelines. And eventually, of course, Sri Chitra's association with industry for scale up and commercialization is key to the viability of this kind of work. The new combination devices block is a welcome addition to the facilities at the disposal of Sri Chitra to bring different technologies together and enhance the services provided by Sri Chitra. Dr. Bihari's 5 dreams for the new combination devices block are admirable. I won't repeat them, but I'm happy to endorse them. Finally, to my dear friend, Minister Jitendra Singh, I'm delighted to see you in Thiruvananthapuram personally present here, despite the many demands on your schedule. And I personally regret not being there to accompany you on this visit, as I did your predecessors' visits on 2 previous occasions. But I hope you will come back and I will be with you next time. And I'm delighted you are taking so much interest in Sri Chitra's work. I'm sure you'll discover that this institute is the jewel in the crown of the many institutes affiliated to your Department of Science and Technology. I am at your disposal for any collaboration you may require inside and outside Parliament to further the goals of the Institute and the ambitions of our country to be a significant global player in the field of medical devices created, developed, and made in India to meet Indian needs and thereby also address the world's. My very best for the success of the many projects that will be undertaken in the new combination devices block, and my continued good wishes to all associated with the Sri Chitra Institute. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words.
May I now request Shri Dr. Jitendra Singh Ji, Honorable Minister of State, Independent Charge of the Ministry of Science and Technology and Earth Sciences, to address the Institute.
Honorable Member of Parliament, former Minister, Government of India, also member of the Institute body, and a prolific writer, and I'm glad he calls me his friend, so do I. Shashi Tharoor ji, we are missing you this morning. I was very keenly looking forward to have you over here, and I would next time plan my visit in a manner to make sure that your availability is ensured before I plan it. Dr. Saraswat, a scientific brain, illustriously known across the country and also president of the institute body. Professor Dr. Sanjay Bihari, who actually took over his assignment with a great deal of passion. I had a number of encounters with him before he took over just to make sure whether actually he meant to take it over or what was the motivation behind and the manner in which he was passionate of coming all the way from where he came to the last coast of the country and the Indian Peninsula. I knew he was actually very serious about what he meant, the 5 principles or 5 dreams which could multiply by the time he completes his tenure. At the outset, I have to formally congratulate Dr. Bihari and the entire team. I don't know whether you realize that you are actually heralding a new phase in India's journey of providing health for all, and that too affordable, cost-effective health. And this day, the 15th of November 2022, is going to be a landmark day because this also marks the beginning of a new phase in India's medical capabilities coupled with technological abilities. And this is going to be also a part of the futuristic management in medical sciences. And I'm sure this is something which will also motivate other institutes across the country. I also feel personally gladdened because incidentally, Sri Chitra is possibly the only major institute from the medical field which happens to be outside the purview of Health Ministry and affiliated with the Ministry of Science and Technology. But what is more gratifying is that you have over the years successfully, as Shri Shashi Tharoor was rightly mentioning, you have over the years successfully created a number of new models in the field of medical management, medical research, which have been emulated even by some of the leading institutes under the Health Ministry. And therefore, you have actually lived up to your reputation of being known as the center of excellence, as was being mentioned. I am not sure how much importance or how much realization would be there across the country of what is going to happen today, these combined devices and the block dedicated to it. But I am sure in the course of time it will be realized. Being a medical professional myself, I was just, while driving over here, trying to look back because we are part of the generation like Sanjay Bihari who have seen the transition of medical management and medical research happening in this country. But what we possibly sometimes miss out to realize that India, right from the early times, was possibly the world's largest resource pool of medical research. You possibly have every disease in the world available in India. But what was lacking was maybe the research capabilities, capacities and research tools. I'm not saying the research potentials because our human resource was tremendous. As was being mentioned by Shashi Tharoor ji, he mentioned Homi Baba, he mentioned Vikram Sarabhai, those young scientists in those times with stars in their eyes, looking forward to make it big, in spite of all the constraints, in spite of all the limitations. Sarabhai carrying a launcher on the career of his bicycle, but still not giving up. So we were lacking actually in our research armament or armamentorium and also the research tools. And why I'm saying so is that we have evidently over the years seen that even before independence, we had a number of European medical researchers coming from United Kingdom and other countries to carry forward their research in India. Because they did a lot of research in, for example, the tropical disease, notably tuberculosis, Kala Azar, cholera, leprosy, sexually transmitted diseases. Because they didn't find enough of patient material over there. If you go to the General Hospital Madras, which is just located opposite the Central Railway Station, Chennai, you will find outside one of the laboratories a plaque referring to Dr. Donovan. And it would be written that here the Donovan bodies were first seen by Dr. Donovan. So what I'm trying to say is that we had all the resource pool, but we were lacking tool. And that is what is being sought to made up. And I'm glad that the lead is being taken by Sri Chitra Institute. And as I was mentioning, actually this carried on even after a few years after the independence, but the scenario underwent a change somewhere after 1980s. And change, as being a medical researcher myself for almost 3 decades, I think happened at 3 levels. A, the entire disease spectrum underwent change in India, because India itself was a heterogeneous. We had different diseases happening, for example, metabolic disorders like type 2 diabetes mellitus were known to be more prevalent in South India than in North India. That is why the first ever department of diabetology came up in Madras Medical College somewhere around 1978-80. Whereas up there in North, the peptic ulcers, duodenal ulcers were more prevalent, high altitude problems. But somewhere after 85, 90, there was virtually a universalization, or maybe in using Shashi Tharoor's fanciful vocabulary, I would say democratization of disease spectrum across India. So you have every disease everywhere across India. Type 2 diabetes mellitus now as much prevalent in North India as in South India, as much prevalent in rural India as in the urban India, because the rural-urban divide has broken down because there are so many cultural lifestyle factors. And therefore, the diseases of the West also happening over here, because in those days, earlier days, the hypertension, cardiovascular diseases were known to be diseases of the more affluent. And I very vividly remember in the early 90s, there was a write-up, they said, we have adopted the disease of the civilized world, because they were known to be the disease of the Westerners. So there is an absolute universalization of disease. The other level where the change happened was the rise of the private sector, which also started after 1980. Before that, we hardly heard of private sector medical colleges, not even large corporate hospitals. Maybe there were small nursing homes being run by individuals. But then, of course, the Apollo started, and one after the other, it became a trend. And therefore, the R&D was no longer an exclusive domain only of the public sector. The private sector was also contributing to it, and rather contributing quite appreciably and in an abundant measure. And the third change happened at the technology level. Because earlier on, even I remember when the Open Heart started, the favorite destination for those who could afford it was Houston. So very fashionably you would say that your grandfather has gone for a heart bypass to Houston. Now you don't know how often it happens and how frequently it happens in every third hospital in India. So all these things actually led on to a change of scenario which has put India almost at par with any other country of the world as far as medical R&D is concerned, as far as medical management is concerned, as far as medical devices is concerned. So as I said, on the one hand, you have all the diseases of the world available in India, including some of those diseases which are available in India but not in other countries. Like for example, till a few years ago, we used to have a group of interns from UK coming for a 3-month stint to All India Institute of Medical Sciences in New Delhi. They would be posted in tropical disease wards because they couldn't get to see a case of tuberculosis across their entire span of the medical school curriculum. Because tuberculosis began to appear over there only after HIV came. So you have all the diseases, including those which are not there otherwise. And on the other hand, you have the human know-how as well as the technical infrastructure, which is not only at par with anywhere else in the world, but which is also much more cost-effective, much more affordable. And therefore, the challenge now of late has been, again at 2 levels. A, the societal needs. How do you carry this facility to the last man in the last queue? And second, how do you make it affordable? Affordable not only by means of human management or medical consultation, also affordable at the level of the devices. And it is here that Sri Chitra Institute has taken a lead. I think you should clap for that. Because, as I said, you are not realizing this today, not many across the country, but this institute has actually taken a lead in realizing, valuing the merits of affordable devices, affordable tools which are going to be there in the times to come, whether it's the heart valves, the oxygenators, the hydrocephalus stunts, the orthoprosthesis, the dental material. We are now among 5 countries of the world who have the richest resource of these devices, the others being USA, Japan, Brazil, and China, but which we are much more cost effective. Our cost is just about 1/4 or 1/3 of the cost that is seen in other countries. And that is in tune with the socio-cultural background of this country. And that realization has also led to what we are going to launch this morning, the combined devices block. And that's why I said you've taken a lead. And upon that, recently, as you saw, COVID has been a great learning experience for all of us. More so in India, because the entire world thought that we would be in a shambles, not being able to manage a country of 130 crore. But only yesterday I was with the minister from Finland. The first thing he said was, all praise for Prime Minister Modi and the medical fraternity of India. And he said, we are a country of just 5 million and we are still struggling. And India had shown the way. The second, it also taught us the virtues of affordable health care. Because COVID was something which had to be managed in everyone, big or small, rich or poor. And the government headed by Prime Minister Modi found out ways to do that. Free vaccine reached every Indian household. Second lesson that COVID taught was our intrinsic capacities, which probably had remained unrealized even by us. Overnight, our residents were ready to deal with the catastrophe which they had not been trained for. In fact, I was telling the medicos the other day, being a teacher myself for about quarter of a century, so also Sanjay Bihari, I said our generation of teachers is guilty of the fact that we didn't teach you enough about the infectious diseases because we thought the era of communicable disease was over and now you will be dealing only with the metabolic disorders, the lifestyle disorders, non-communicable disease. And suddenly you were, but look at the capacity of these youngsters. Overnight they got themselves tuned and fought it out. So we have intrinsically within us a huge capability of being socially relevant medical professionals. And third lesson, of course, which I had been talking about, but I think which was made to realize compulsively by the COVID is the merits of having an integrated approach. You'll find some of the leading European medical professionals making frantic calls to India to find out what was the immunity booster available with Ayurvedic. Now, these were the same group of people who would vehemently detest anything other than allopathy. So desperate were they to save themselves from the ordeal of COVID. And then the virtues of having an integrated approach, integrated not only among the various systems of medicine, but also integration between private and public sector. The manner in which the DNA vaccine was developed by the same ministry through the Department of Biotechnology, the first ever DNA vaccine, and immediately it was taken up by the private industry to be further carried forward to the market. Because COVID taught us that we have to, if we had to survive, we had to be working together. But this is something which is going to become a way of life. The way of medical regimens or part of inherent part of the medical regimens in the times to come. And upon this, I am glad and I think we are, our generation of medical fraternity is lucky to have someone like Shri Narendra Modi as the head of the state. There have been a number of path-breaking decisions that he has taken, which possibly no political government otherwise takes. The first one of them, even long before the COVID could be anticipated, was launching of a scheme called Ayushman Bharat. I don't think anywhere in the world you have a health insurance scheme which is ready to insure a patient even after he's been detected having a life-threatening disease. We have been treating so many of patients over the years. They are insured by some of the private health insurance companies. The moment a patient suffers a myocardial infarction, he wants to get compensation for that. The insurance companies try to find out one or the other excuse to prove or to argue that he already had an underlying ischemic problem which he had camouflaged or hidden, and therefore they would not give him. Because the first condition is that to insure the heart, you should have a healthy heart. But here, there are a number of instances where a person was detected having a malignancy and then went on for insurance and got it. So that was a path-breaking thing, I think, which is the first of its kind in the entire world. The second was the medical devices rules, which were framed in 2017, again by the same government. Earlier on, you had to depend on the parameters laid down by outsiders. Your stunts were also given a limitation or an upper threshold of the cost. And of course, as a part of integration, as I said, this was the same Prime Minister who created a separate ministry for Ayush, for Ayurvedic and yoga, at least 7 years before Europeans started talking of Ayurveda when they were confronted with COVID. So this is a time where we have a political leadership which is ready to support our futuristic thinking. And most of all, the synergy between public-private participation and synergy also with the industry. I'm glad Sanjay Bihari was telling me that some of the projects over here have been funded by the industry right from the beginning. And this is precisely what I've been telling all across the country, that for sustainable startups, because our next challenge would be sustainable startups, you have to have industry as an equal stakeholder right from the beginning. You cannot fund a startup and after his successful completion of project start looking for the industry. But if you make industry invest in a startup, then like a good businessman, he or she or they would feel the pinch of the money spent, and they would own up the project, own up the startup also. And you will be providing in the process also a sustainable source of livelihood for the youngsters. And therefore this should actually be the trend. We have already started one of our projects through the Technology Development Board. It was 2,000 crore. We said 200 crore. We said we will fund 100 crore, let the private party also fund equal amount. And so we moved on. And I think that should be also now the norm in the times to come. Because R&D cannot be only confined to R&D. If it is meant for the ease of living and for the ease of the patient, it has to carry forward. And to carry forward, we need the support of the industry. And before I conclude, I don't know whether you have realized that while you have done all this, what you are going to do today and you've been doing in the recent times, you are also actually living up to the tune and the tone of the priorities laid down by the Modi government, of Atmanirbhar Bharat. This is also going to usher you into an era of self-reliance devices, self-reliant medical management, and be the sharing and access to data, which is a very healthy decision taken under Dr. Sanjay Bihari. We have also correspondingly, just about 3 months back, brought in a cabinet decision whereby the traditional knowledge digital library that we have under CSIR has been made accessible to other stakeholders also. Because the earlier government had, through a rule, made it confined only to the patents. But as I said, if you have to have democratization of disease management, affordable for all, you also need to have data available to those who actually intend to use it with seriousness. Of course, the data would be available with certain terms and conditions. And at the same time, Indian data for Indian problems and Indian treatment for Indian patients. That is what I think we have now started actually realizing more than ever before, because most of the textbooks were written by the European authors who had never seen a tropical disease, and you were following them to treat a tropical patient over here. And gradually we realize, not only that, but even in the non-communicable diseases, which are having a universal spectrum, like for example, coronary heart disease, like for example, type 2 diabetes mellitus, like for example, insulin-resistant disorders. The profile of an Indian patient is entirely different because the Indian phenotype is different. The profile of Indian obesity is different because you are victims of central obesity, which is known to be independent risk factor, a risk factor independent of the OSD overall, which is not so in the Western individual. So not only in terms of the tropical disease you are different, even in the terms of the diseases which are prevalent in the West, you are different. And therefore, Indian data, shared data, Indian treatment, Indian patient. And today, when we go in for this inauguration and dedicating to the nation the combination devices block, I think the word should go out for sake of awareness and also education of the general masses that this is a relatively new ecosystem aimed at streamlining the convergence of the pharmaceuticals and the medical devices, which was being practiced but was not institutionalized. And I think none else but me would know that better because we were among the first in the area of endocrinology and diabetes to use insulin pens, to use insulin pumps, to use pre-filled insulin syringes. But we didn't realize the pitfalls in the convergence. And that gap, or that, I would not say the shortcoming, but that gap possibly is sought to be bridged by bringing in a combination devices exclusive domain to link the two traditional independent industries, namely the pharmaceutical on the one hand and the medical devices on the other hand. And I therefore congratulate the institute body, the entire faculty, and I'm sure by doing so what you are doing today, you are also contributing to the health of India and to the health of Indians over the next 25 years of what Prime Minister Modi refers to as Amrit Kal before India turns 100. So you are in a way contributing to an India at 100, which is also at the same time equally healthy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your enlightening words. May I now request both the Director and the Dean of SCTIMST to felicitate the Honorable Minister, Sri Dr. Jitendra Singh, by handing over a memento as a token of appreciation. Thank you, sir.
I now invite Professor Ajit Kumar VK, the Dean SCTIMST, to propose the vote of thanks.
Good morning, everybody. Honorable Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh Ji, President of the Institute Dr. V.K. Saraswat Ji, Honorable MP Dr. Shashi Tharoor, Director of the Institute Dr. Sanjay Bihari, invited dignitaries, members of the faculty, employees of the Institute, students, colleagues, and my dear friends. It is my privilege and pleasant duty to propose the vote of thanks. Our gratitude is our exquisite form of courtesy. I would like to mention that the Institute faculty, employees, and the students have been honored by the visit of their Minister, Dr. Jitendra Singh. You must have heard during his talk when he talked about phenotype. You must be wondering how. That is because Dr. Sanjay Bihari forgot to mention that he was a professor of medicine and endocrinology. So of all the ministries that he heads, he is most at home in our midst. I should profusely thank him for having actually found the time to visit the Institute despite his hectic schedule. So we would tell you that we have created a model, the Sri Chitra model, which is a combination of medicine and biomedicine, which is being now copied by most of the other institutes, including the IITs. We are going to ask you for the stars, but do grant us the moon, which I hope will take the institute forward. So we thank you, sir. Our President, Dr. V.K. Saraswat, has always been a source of encouragement in all our endeavors. His guidance, his disciplined approach has helped us to streamline our strategic vision. We thank you, sir. Dr. Shashi Tharoor, Member of Parliament, is one person who is keenly aware of the structure and the relevance of the Institute in research, clinical, and biomedical framework of the country. Despite his robustest schedule, he is always ready to help and advise us. I should thank him specially for describing Chitra as the jewel in the crown. And this term is going to remain with us, sir. Our director, Dr. Sanjay Bihari, has always led the team from the front. We thank you, sir, and we know that the Institute will go to greater heights under your leadership. I would like to thank the directors of the various institutes and the other dignitaries who have found time to join us in this function. I also want to thank the people who have worked behind the scene to execute this event, our technical arrangement team, the stage setting, and the faculty on the field. From Dr. Keshavadas, our DD, Dr. Harikrishna Verma, Engineer Muralidharan, Dr. Manikandan, Dr. Nambudri, and the entire team, our thanks. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. We now request everyone to kindly rise for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
We now request everyone to remain seated till the dignitaries leave the auditorium. So, we now invite our Honorable Minister to visit the new PMSSY block